Auburn goes down to Ole Miss, bringing the season record to 3-4. The guys here at the War Report are here to talk about it in this edition of the Weekend Tailgate.
This is the Weekend Tailgate, brought to you by Golden Cast Iron. C-Dub, Ike Joe, Be Will, Mike G. You are now listening to
The Weekend Tailgate, brought to you by show sponsor Golden's Cast Iron. Whether you work out, grill out, or chill out, you can use our folks at Golden's Cast Iron to aid in that process. Head to goldenscastiron.com/WR. That link is down in the description of the video. It's goldenscastiron.com/WR. You can use code report. I'm so used to saying code report for stuff, but code Get Your Weight Up when you get there for 15% off of their weights. They have kettlebells and free weights there, or use code TWR for $65 off of fire pits and Kamado grills. We appreciate you all jumping in here with us today. As you can see, a slightly different crew today. My guy B. Will and Dylan Lark over there from the College Loop in here today. Before we get into today's talking points about the game that just transpired, you guys need to be doing the necessary, which is sharing the video using @ the War Report on social media, so we know that you've done that. Hashtag Get Your Weight Up if you don't mind. And please go ahead and give a thumbs up on the video. I see some of you are already doing that, and we also always appreciate when you guys come in here and make sure that you're giving us love on the thumbs up button. And as always, when you are out here in these cyber streets, if you want to become a member of the War Report, you can click the join button to be able to do that. If you join the War Report, you get all kinds of goodies, especially on game day. You know, we've been locking down the chat on game day to members only because we need to make sure it's a troll-free environment. That's feedback from y'all, because we had started to open it up to everybody in the post game, and y'all was like, nah, we need these trolls up out of here. So we appreciate y'all doing that. Gift a membership if you want to, and make sure that when you're doing those gifted memberships, somebody can get the benefit of the War Report on you. Hashtag Get Your Weight Up right now in the live chat if you want to be able to get in on this mug. We're going to give away a mug courtesy of GWT2 Energy Consulting Services today. So we appreciate everybody for jumping in. Let's get the conversation rolling though, man. So Auburn lost. If breaking news, Auburn did not win the football game yesterday versus Ole Miss. First time taking an L to Ole Miss at home in a while. It's been a while. And Ole Miss fans are feeling themselves right now. They're like, Auburn sucks. We're the better program. And, you know, listen, I can't argue with trajectories right now. Auburn is not looking good in terms of where we are. But both of you all were able to be on the post-game reaction show. And I'll give my thoughts, but I do want to give you the opportunity, having a more sobered mind, right? Like you're a little, the pain isn't as fresh. You have any additional thoughts that you would like to add to whatever was said yesterday during the post-game show? I'll start with you, B. Will.
It's basketball season.
It's not basketball season. That's not true, but continue.
That's what I forgot to say yesterday.
Okay.
I forgot to say that it's basketball season. And it's basketball season. Thank you.
Okay. B. Will is on the basketball. How you feeling,
Yes.
Dylan?
The sobered mind comment, I don't know if I fully agree with it. I went through a church service, just constantly thinking about this game. I was like, so I look at the sky. It's orange and blue. God's an Auburn fan. But yeah, that yesterday, that was the work of the devil, because that game, that game was god awful. I just watched the presser about 30 minutes ago, and I love having back-to-back weeks where my offensive-minded head coach says that, we just got to reevaluate everything again. There's got to come a time when you've already done all the evaluations and you can actually put a competent-looking offense on the field. And we have yet to have seen any kind of offense that resembles anything competent level. And it's a cheesy thing to say. It's not fair to the fans. And I looked at some of the recruits that talked about what they heard from Hugh Freeze, and it seemed mostly positive.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like what Freeze was telling these kids are, we suck, so you should be on the team so we don't suck anymore. But we got how many more weeks? 5 more weeks of the season.
Yeah.
There are 5 more football games left in this season for Auburn to figure out how to do something. Yeah.
Arkansas, Mississippi State, Vanderbilt, New Mexico State. I just want 3 out of 4 wins.
I feel you. Well, so I was in the press box during the game. Of course, I have not had an opportunity to rewatch this game, and I always see something different when I watch it on film, of course. So I will be giving more detailed thoughts about what I saw on film tomorrow and Tuesday, more than likely. I'll get into that film review for you all. But what I will say, as someone who watched this game from the press box and was present at the post game with both Coach Freeze, and selected players, is that either it's difficult, right? So I'll start with the players. Either those players really feel as if, you know what, we had to weather this storm and get through these tough games, and we've got some good football ahead of us, or they're doing a really, really, really good job of faking it. Because when I listened to them talk, the ones that came to the presser, they seemed upset about the outcome, but they don't seem down about the prospects of finishing strong this season. Players don't. The ones, again, that I heard talk during the presser. And that's a good sign. That's a good sign that they have not completely abandoned hope. Coach Freeze seems very frustrated. And at this point, I don't know really what the plan is. Like, where do you go from here? Because it seems as if they came in, and Mike actually made a comment about this during, maybe it was the Samford game, where it seemed as if it looked like they were holding tryouts during the game because they were shuffling in so many different wide receivers during that game. This looked like a scrimmage against Ole Miss, which is a little disrespectful to Ole Miss. I'm not going to lie. That it looked as if you were just running a scrimmage where it's like, okay, you get a series, then you get a series, and you get a series. It seemed as if they were holding tryouts during a game, because there wasn't very much rhyme or reason to how they were utilizing the quarterbacks during this game. I think the only thing that seemed situational was if it was 3rd and long, Peyton Thorne was going to be the quarterback, because what's also abundantly clear, and I think that's been clear to me and most people watching, they don't trust Robbie Ashford to throw the football this season. Yeah. And he only had 4 passes, right? And one of those was the interception that they to attempting to throw the deep route to VAR, right? So the trust in him to make accurate decisions with the football is not being placed there consistently in Robbie Ashford. So, and this is what I've been saying pretty much the entirety of the season. I feel as if they just need to make a commitment to a direction offensively and do that. There has not been a commitment to anything. And it seems as if they've conceded that passing the ball is not going to be something either of these quarterbacks are going to do well. And so let's just take passing off of which, listen, Peyton Thorne ran the ball fairly well yesterday. I have to give him credit for the opportunities that he took to run the football. He actually made one defender look silly on a run where he kind of juked him out on the edge. Peyton Thorne ran the ball well yesterday, but they have stripped away this passing offense completely. They've taken it out of the hands of the quarterbacks. They've taken decisions out of the minds of the wide receivers. They have dumbed down. This is what we're seeing offensively right now. This isn't a Hugh Freeze or a Philip Montgomery offense. This is like page 1 of installations all over. Like they're going back to day 1 install offense at this point in time. of some elementary form of this, like this. And this is going to feel like a shot at him. So forgive me if you're a fan of this man and you're tired of me doing this. This feels like a very Gus Malzahn offense where it has been dumbed down to the most basic level of concepts that have become ridiculously easy to defend. For any defense that can read keys, you can defend this offense because they're not giving you anything to look at. They're not going in motion very much to try to give you any eye candy. They're not really playing inside out with like running. They're not even running like east west and giving you any jet motion. None of that. They're doing none of that stuff, man. They have made this offense so easy to defend. And I have to now think that they have decided we can't do any of the stuff that we want to do. So we're just going to surrender. We're not going to try anymore because they feel frustrated with trying to do stuff that they're not executing. I could be wrong. I could be completely wrong. Again, I haven't watched the film back on any of this stuff. This is a knee-jerk reaction based upon what I saw from the booth yesterday. Is what I'm saying sounding crazy to anybody though?
No. What I see, what you see. I see them having given up on anything but very, very basic things. I don't know if it's it feels like the coaching staff's concession that it almost feels like we don't believe in you guys. So let's just hold your hand. And no matter how bad it looks or how upset it makes people, we're just going to do what we think you can execute. And if that makes us elementary, if that makes this easy to read, easy to defend, if it means we don't throw the ball, we don't even try to stretch a defense, oh well, this is just what it's going to be. I think that's what bothers me, though. That's what bothers me is it seems to be a lack of faith in players. And again, I made this point last night on the show, and it was, again, the idea came from Pablo Escobar, his tweet earlier in the week that said, I watched a bare bones staff do more with less in less time than Hugh Freeze has had his hands on this offense, and less players as far as just quantity of, he got to pick some people to come in and do this. Mm-hmm. Cadillac didn't get to choose who was going to be on the offense. He just, okay, this is what we got left. Cool. We were already down to third string center, a bunch of guys who had not cut it so far in their collegiate careers as far as who was playing on the offensive line. And he give us some offense. Just give us some offense. Give us a chance to be productive and move the ball up and down the field. Hugh Freeze with his offensive experience, Phillip Montgomery with his offensive experience. I refuse to believe that Cadillac, as a running back, it's not that he knows offense better than Hugh Freeze and Phillip Montgomery. This is a choice by the coaches to concede any attempts to modify the offense to a point where it makes sense for what you do have and make us look competitive on this level this year. That decision, again, let me repeat myself in this way. That does not mean I don't think that the coaches who are here cannot be good coaches for us going forward. Clearly, as much as Hugh Freeze has harped on talent and the value of increasing the talent level in the program, it seems like he is trying to set himself up for the future. He is, as I called it last night, this is a punt. This is a full-out punt. We are down 9 and it's 4th and 11, and you go, nah, we just go ahead. Just give him the game. We're not gonna win this game. That's what this feels like. That decision feels like if I was a player, I would be upset with that. That's what I really feel like. You're losing the players who are here. Obviously not the players who you are recruiting, because there's a message to be sent that, you see, I don't have what I need yet. You're what I need, and this looks completely different. We all thought that we needed to show something on the field to convince more recruits to get on board and stay on board. Maybe not. Maybe proof of concept is something where you put on some tape and show what you've done over the course of your career from, 2014 until now, if you're Hugh Freeze, and that's all you need. Maybe so. Maybe the promise of NIL and development is something that you can sell based on who you are and based on what Auburn is doing right now with NIL. Okay. Maybe that's enough. I hope that's enough for his sake. And I understand why next year he may feel better about that. They've punted on the kids this year, though, and on the fans, and everybody who comes to these games, who covers these games, who enjoys these games. We have this embarrassing product week after week after week. The defense out there playing their heart out. The defense gave us what we needed to win that game yesterday, but the offense again didn't. And I just can't help but feel like it's somewhat intentional, or at least it's a lack of intention to change it wholesale enough to make a significant difference. And that's what's disappointing.
Yeah, and I've had people who have commented that, and they've been in our comments on videos talking about the reason why we have not moved in the direction of, a more firm rushing attack as being in the forefront is that Coach Freeze needs to be able to advertise that we can throw the ball. But where are we doing that? Where's the advertisement for us being able, like, we're not even showcasing an inept passing attack, meaning we're attempting to throw the ball and we're not making the connections. We're barely throwing the ball.
Right.
I don't know, but yet and still not committing fully to it is the weirdest thing in the world that we have not. And what I say by commitment to the run, I don't mean just turning around and handing the ball off on first and second down. I mean having an attack that is centered around the run, similar to what we talked about with what they did last season in those final 4 games, that employs a variety of ways that you want to get those running backs involved in the rush offense, and actually utilizing a concerted effort to run the ball to then be in a play action scenario on downs where it's not obvious that you need to be able to throw the ball, right? So if you come out and you have success running the ball, then on first and second down, you can play action because it's like, oh, they just going to run the ball on second down. Boom. You hit them with play action on that. And now it's a different thing. I have not seen a commitment yet to anything, to any player that we feel like is a prime playmaker, to any quarterback that we feel like has the competence to run the offense. There is zero offensive commitment to anything yet. And I just can't imagine that. And maybe it is because, again, I don't know. But I can't imagine that we're so talent deficient that we can't commit to anything.
There should never be a season where Auburn doesn't have the talent to at least win 7, 8, 9 games. That should never happen as a program that is top 15 in all of all time in college football. Yeah. Talent should never be the issue. And you bring up the whole can't commit to a quarterback. I don't understand the whole put Robbie in for first and second down, take Thorne out for 3rd and 6, and then call some passing play where apparently we don't have the wide receivers to actually get open. So now Peyton Thorne goes in on 3rd and 6, takes a sack, goes incompletion, doesn't convert on 3rd down. And in him having more trust in Peyton Thorne on 3rd downs is making the fan base have less trust in Peyton Thorne on 3rd downs, because we're not getting that level of – no one is seeing what Hugh Freeze sees in Peyton Thorne. And the whole offense just didn't mesh well last night, no matter who was in at quarterback. And that's me saying that from the president of the Robbie Ashford fan club. Neither quarterback was doing anything extremely well last night. And I can't even say that they played terrible, because they didn't. I think the play calling was just horrifically bad. And if you commit to a quarterback, you can start opening the offense up more. If you put Robbie in for the entire game, don't take Robbie out just because you think he can't pass the ball. He passed the ball well when they let him throw those first 3 passes up until the interception. He was 3 for 3, and He got a first down because he threw the ball to a curl route. You can have a short intermediate passing game with Robbie Ashford and still run your RPO, but now you're putting in Peyton Thorne to try to run this intermediate to deep ball offense that you don't have to Hugh Freeze. You don't have the guys to run, but you still want to stick to it because maybe Shane Hooks will get open, but Shane Hooks I don't even think got a target last night. Jay Fair only got 1 catch last night. I think Rivaldo Fairweather wasn't even heard of until the 4th quarter. Yeah. You have the dudes who are advertised as your dudes on offense, but the way you're scheming up, the way your quarterbacks can't get confident because they can't stay in for more than a drive at a time. All you're doing is you have a target in front of you and you keep aiming at your foot. That is what Hugh Freeze did last night. He is not trying to move this offense because he is trying to, like, I love how you called it a scrimmage, and I love the disrespect towards Ole Miss. It's the one positive of the night. You do that and make Ole Miss feel less than they are. But going forward, Mississippi State has a decent defense, or at the very, very bare minimum, Arkansas is just – we look like Arkansas. I was paying attention to that game a little bit. Auburn and Arkansas are the same team this year. The only difference is that they're about to fire their head coach. We have about 2 more years with ours.
So KJ Jefferson is a combination of Peyton Thorne and Robbie Ashford in all the worst ways, is what you're saying, because they have one quarterback that is doing nothing, and we have 2 quarterbacks that are effectively doing nothing.
And they have a defense that's been absolutely wasted on a lackluster offense. I mean, and they lost that game that happened, 7-3 loss to Mississippi State. They lost because their defense was getting stopped, but their offense wasn't moving the ball. Auburn lost last night because their defense could get stops and did for a majority of the game, but the offense couldn't get on the board.
Yeah. Well, let's get into talking about all of this stuff, though, before we get into the break. Actually, before we get into the break, I'm going to go to the comment section. When we come back from the break, we'll get into doing some grades, because I know everybody likes assigning grades to stuff. As always, let's start with super chat. So first and foremost, Walt Taylor, appreciate you, says AU defense. He's got 2 different ones here. So this is one of 2. First half drive, 3rd and 22, gave up a 21-yard run. That was so disappointing. Also, 2 other explosive plays were called back. Second drive, 2nd and 8, gave up a 35-yard pass. 1st and 10, gave up a 29-yard run. This is similar to what happened versus LSU. His second one here is the Auburn defense in the second half. First drive, 1st and 10, gave up a 16-yard run. 4th drive, 3rd and 3, gave up a 29-yard pass. 1st and 10, gave up a 24-yard pass. 5th drive, 2nd and 15, gave up a 28-yard run. 2nd and 9, gave up a 36-yard pass. So outlining the things that the defense could have done better to help us out in this game. We will definitely get into that as we start to do our grades for our defense. But thank you for the statistical breakdown of places where the defense broke down, Walt. Yeah. Another one here from Walt, who says Auburn's rushing less, Hunter's 53 yards, 38 rushes, I'm assuming, for 100 yards, 2.6 average. Auburn passing less, Hunter 47 yards, 11 of 16. I don't think that's Hunter's. Anyway, 69%, 75 yards, 6.8 yard average. Pedestrian numbers for sure. I think there were some mistakes in there somewhere with names, but all right. Frankie Freeze, the players haven't lived up to the standard, to be honest. This is an interesting comment because the players haven't lived up to the standard. I don't feel as if the player, and this, I am including Peyton Thorne in this. I don't feel as if the players have been put in optimal positions to be able to highlight what they do well. Right. So it's difficult. Like, there's a lot of adages that are out there when you don't have a plan, then you're planning to fail. I don't think that you can be set up for failure and expect success. And I don't feel as if we've set our offense up for success with the way that we're deploying much of anything. I don't feel that way. Again, yeah. I am not in practices. I don't know where they see limitations in people and say, yo, man, like, we just really can't do this because this guy, like, we don't have a single wide receiver that can run this route consistently. So, we can't scheme this way. We don't have 5 guys up front that can block consistently enough for us to run this type of thing. We don't have a single quarterback on this team that can throw these routes that we're asking them to do consistently enough. So we just need to scrap all of that because I can't find 11 guys that can go out here and consistently and do all the stuff that we need to do. So I don't know that I feel like that's true, that we can't find 11 guys that can go out onto the field and be productive. That feels like a farce to me. Like, I just don't understand, considering we, from a talent perspective, by everyone's account, not just me, not people on this show, from everyone's account, we are more talented this year than we were last year.
Mm-hmm.
If anybody feels we are less talented this year, but we're seeing less production, then how do you blame the talent for, again, wins and losses? I'm not talking about wins and losses. You could still play better than this and have lost all 4 of the games that we're talking about. That is 100% plausible. I'm not blaming that on wins and losses. I'm talking about productivity within the chalk out there. How are we being so pedestrian with more talent? That's baffling to me. Robert Guy says they need to stick with the quick passing game mixed with run and utilize tempo, because the defense has more than shown they can get off the field. Yeah, I do think that the defense has shown up in a lot of ways this year. The defense has some things that they definitely need to get better at. Like those 3rd and long scenarios that we are consistently giving up are, if you think about this, if you take away, and you can't do this, and I know I'm not trying to rewrite the history of the game, but if Auburn is better on 3rd and long in that game, Ole Miss almost doesn't score. Like, they almost don't get a score that entire game. But because you have some sort of lapse on 3rd and long, of all the places that have a mental lapse, 3rd and long, you end up in a scenario where they're able to put points on the board. But if you get off the field on 3rd down, and it was early in the game, so it's not about being tired that early. That's mental at that point in time. And then you buckle down in between there after they get a couple scores. You're forcing them off the field. You're getting turnovers. You're doing all the stuff that you're supposed to do. Then you get into a fatigue thing, right? Because your offense isn't giving you anything.
Right.
But early in the game to have those kind of lapses, same thing, what Walt was talking about early in the LSU game, like the first drive, LSU just marched the ball down the field. That's not being tired. You just didn't come in focused. But you're able to get stops later in the game once you settle in. Our defense, for whatever reason, in these last 2 games specifically, very high-powered offenses have been taking too much time to get settled into the game.
Yeah.
Garrett Weaver says JF3, Jeremy Johnson, and Sean White flashbacks.
Actually, you know what? Let me cape a little bit for Sean White right here. In 2015, when Jeremy Johnson had a terrible start to the year, Gus got to the bye, and we took a road trip to Kentucky on a Thursday of all times. Sean White played admirably with obvious limitations in the offense, and again later that season at Arkansas. Actually, we lost that game in overtime, if I'm not mistaken. He threw for like 300 something yards. Sean White was a gamer and a competitor in a way that I don't see out of. If you're talking physicality and skill set, then I see Sean White in Peyton Thorne. Like, they kind of remind me of each other. Not a lot of arm strength, not a lot of velocity. He's not going to really attack downfield a lot, but he was willing to run, willing to scamper and get those yards. I see a lot of them, but Sean White had something else. Now, he kind of had some off the field things that caught up with him, but he was a gamer, and he seemed to have the it for the moment. He just didn't have the physical tools to be great, but he was fine. I'd take a Sean White right now. I'm not gonna lie to you.
I don't know if I can commit to that. I don't know. That might be too far of a stretch.
Do you remember the Sean White years?
Too much. I remember this season too well. The 2016 year. That year.
We went 8-4.
It didn't feel like it.
It didn't feel like it. But see, that's what I'm saying. Because it wasn't him making all these splash plays, people feel like he wasn't that good. He was decent.
Sean White was. So I will say Sean White was a serviceable quarterback, but his problem definitely was he didn't have a ton of arm strength. So, but here again, I know it seems like crap on Gus Malzahn Day from Ike, but the problem is Gus was asking him to do a lot of plays that were slow developing, deep shots down the field, and that's not what his arm was built for.
Right.
you're asking him to do stuff that doesn't really fit what he's capable of doing on a consistent basis.
Right.
And that's not beneficial for your offense to make it move in a productive way. So it comes back down to how you're scheming stuff for guys.
Yeah.
Quentin.
I also very much remember every time Sean White ran the ball and he tried to slide, he would just plant his feet into the dirt and then just
It's crumpled over.
fall face first. And I was like, I need this guy to stop.
He was terrible at sliding. That is for sure. Quintez Renfro says, feels like Hugh and Montz, and speaking of Montgomery, have completely different playbooks and personnel groupings. They are just taking terms like it was the plan the whole time, rotating too much everywhere, including play caller. This is something that I heard that they said on the broadcast. Of course, I wasn't listening to it. Yeah. But it does very much look as if there is a Robbie Ashford package and there's a Peyton Thorne package as far as personnel groupings and how they're deploying those. And they were almost literally flip-flopping back and forth every drive. Like, it didn't matter how successful the previous drive was with the other quarterback. They were going back to the other guy the next drive to do the other thing. And to me, that does not, I don't know how you allow an offense to be successful doing that. Like, that doesn't feel like an offense. That just, again, it felt like a scrimmage. It felt like they were it was A-Day. That might as well have been an A-Day game that we just saw, except it was when he talked about he would rather scrimmage another team than playing an inter squad scrimmage. We just witnessed A-Day in the middle of the season where they were like, all right, cool, it's your turn and we're going to run some stuff with you. Now it's your turn and we're going to run. We were getting prepped this game for Mississippi State. They were like, all right, which one of those two game plans did we like best? Do we think we could run the whole game versus Mississippi? Like, it felt like a practice, man. I'm sorry.
Don't forget the Holden Gardner package we got yesterday too.
I don't even want to. We're gonna get into it, man. Jeez.
Each package is like one page each. Like, they ran the same 3 plays with Robbie. God. They ran the same 3 plays with Thorne. I don't understand. If you're gonna give Robbie a chance, give him Hooks, Valdo, and Jarquez. If you want to prove to the world that you don't want to start Robbie, at least give him the same offense you're gonna give Thorne.
Well, I mean, I just think that they should just run an offense. Run an offense, and it doesn't matter who the quarterback is. If you're truly trying to figure out what you've got, run the same offense with both guys and decide who runs that offense better, right? Like, but whatever. Cameron Carr says, Damari Alston says, stay with them, says they aren't done yet. I'm going to ride with him, not going to give up. War Eagle. Listen, man. If the team hasn't given up, I know there's a lot of people, B. Will included, apparently, who are off of football season already, but we still have an opportunity to go 8-4 this season. Like, let's be clear. Is it plausible? No, it's not plausible. But the games still have to be played. How many of y'all had USC losing? I did too, but
Carolina. Oh, I was hoping. I didn't pick it, but I was definitely hoping. Yes.
My son is down there going crazy. Right now.
I'm a known Ute supporter. They're my Pac-12 team, so I had to pick them.
Shout out to Landon King.
That's a little different. You support that team. Anybody who is not a Utah fan, how many people thought that they were going to win that game? I don't think that there was a lot of non-Utah fans that thought that they were going to win that game. Not hoped. I'm talking about in your mind. If
you had asked me to pick it, then I would have picked Utah just off the strength of what they've been able to do defensively to control USC.
All right,
because that's a pattern. That's a pattern.
They beat that crappy defense with a pig farmer, according to Kyle Whittingham. That Utah is just exactly what I would love this Auburn team to be, a very strong defense that just kind of needs their offense to be serviceable.
Yeah.
Utah's only lost one game though. There was nothing to indicate that they weren't going to be competitive. Like, I don't know why people sold, I guess, but you know me,
their offense.
Lincoln Riley's overhyped, USC's overhyped, Caleb Williams overhyped. I didn't buy that Kool-Aid, so yeah.
Drake Barefoot says, how are they not putting Sean Jackson in on 3rd and short or 4th and 1? I don't know.
Why take out the running quarterback on running downs?
Give me your power back, your most powerful back, in with your running quarterback. How about that? Just maybe.
Philip Montgomery playbook is just Longhorse Steakhouse menu. That's not.
I mean, that's a funny joke. I don't think,
It's
of course,
funny.
I don't think it's
Overrated
funny,
steakhouse for an overrated offensive coordinator.
Whoa.
I'm
We're
a
going to get into talking a little bit.
House supporter.
All right, we're going to talk a little bit more. We're going to get into grades, offense, defense, maybe coaching grades. I don't know. I feel like this is going to get reductive, but we'll still do it. Well, you guys are watching the weekend tailgate. We'll pay a couple of bills, and we'll be right back with more of your comments and our thoughts on yesterday's game. This edition of the War Report is brought to you by our generous sponsors. When you work out, grill out, and chill out, you deserve the best life possible, and Golden's Cast Iron is here to provide the tools to help you do it. Check them out at goldenscastiron.com. auburnsports.com. For news and notes on all things Auburn Sports, head over to auburnsports.com. And our giveaway sponsor, GWT2 Energy Consulting Services. If you want the best in the business at restaurant logistics, head over to gwt2energy.com. As always, thank you to the sponsors of the War Report. Thank you to those of you who have decided to continue your memberships with the War Report. We appreciate that. If you'd like to join, go ahead and click that join button and get all of these perks that you see out here in front of you. If you are a member and you'd like to gift a membership to someone else, you can do that right now from the live chat. And we definitely appreciate those of you who continue to do the gifted memberships. They help to get other people involved in what we've got going on with the War Report. Let me make sure I didn't miss any gifted memberships today. I don't see any. All right. But yeah, we appreciate those of you who continue to do that. Hashtag get your weight up right now in the live chat if you want to get in on getting a mug. The drawing today will be for the War Report mug. Hashtag get your weight up. And that is sponsored by GWT2 Energy Consulting Services. Long way to go in the season, but if you want to maybe drive out of town to a War Report game, I mean, not a War Report game, we don't have any games, to an Auburn football game later on this season, maybe you need a new vehicle to do that. And the folks over at Lynch Toyota of Auburn can help you do that. Lynch Toyota of Auburn is Auburn's premier Toyota dealership, serving the Auburn area for over 20 years. Not only can you shop new Toyota vehicles like the popular Camry, Tacoma, and RAV4, but you'll also find great deals on a huge selection of certified pre-owned vehicles. To buy, sell, or trade, or service your vehicle, make sure you shop Lynch Toyota of Auburn for the best customer experience. Get started now at lynchtoyotaofauburn.com. All Toyotas are created equal. Lynch Toyota makes the difference. Again, that's Lynch Toyota of Auburn.com. All right, let's get into grades here.
I'd be interested to see the War Report game, though. We should do like a little War Report podcast network basketball tournament.
Oh yeah,
Well, 5v5. We got 10 people in here. We can do 5v5s.
We probably need to do a 3-on-3 with subs with my old. But yeah, I actually would be down for that. If we're a content creation network, we can go and film some content of us looking really terrible out on a basketball court somewhere.
I ain't got it,
for
fam.
that.
I ain't got it.
Start the betting odds. College is the favorite -100.
Maybe we'll just do like a game of horse then. All right, man, let's get back into the conversation and see what we've got on grades. Let's start out with the unit that I think is a little more difficult to grade, but also the one that has performed best throughout the season. And that's the special teams. Special teams grade for this past game. What are we saying?
I love Oscar Chapman. Give him the Ray Guy Award, A+.
Listen, he's been good. He's not Ray Guy good. Have y'all seen some of these punters around the conference, dog?
Yeah, somebody getting some 60s and 65
Bro,
yard.
The punter
punts.
for Kentucky is ridiculous. LSU's got a really good punter. Shoot, the one from Ole Miss last night hit one. I was like, yo, what are they feeding these children, bro? They have some pretty ridiculous punters in this conference. Like, I ain't even looking outside the conference because I don't watch most of the games in those terrible conferences over there. But yeah, a lot of good punters walking around here. I do think that Oscar Chapman has been one of the better assets for Auburn to flip the field in scenarios. I like what he's doing out there. Didn't kick a single field goal in this game.
Yeah.
Sure.
Didn't really have an opportunity to kick a field goal. Every time we got close to field goal range, drives would sputter out. So, but I am happy to say they kicked the ball into the end zone consistently on
did.
kickoffs.
They did.
Very happy about that. Could not be happier about that because I was so tired of seeing us not cover kicks well. I was really tired of that. But anyway, grade. What do you feel like the grade should be for the special teams?
B plus A. I don't think that they didn't turn the game around for us necessarily. You know, like I guess an A plus game would be you're blocking a kick and running it back for a touchdown. You're blocking a punt and running that back for a touchdown. We didn't get any of that, or a kickoff return for a touchdown. That's A plus stuff, right? Let me back that up and go A. A would be a kickoff return to like the 50 to set us up in really good position, or a punt that you run 20 yards and you set us up at their 30, you know, something like that. So since we didn't see that, then I'm gonna say B plus, because that's the best possible grade you can do. Just doing your job well, no hiccups. I think it's a B plus effort.
Can't forget good holds all around. There was a lot of good snaps from Reed Hughes and Quattlebaum.
Mm-hmm.
We got to throw them all up in there as well.
Like saying Quattlebaums? Heck yeah. Let's give it a minute. I'm trying to see if anybody else. Most people saying B. I want Ike to get in here with his special teams grade before we move on. There you go.
W. Get a W for the special teams.
What grade is that?
Yes, they won the day. Special teams, I would give a B plus to the special teams. I don't think that we did anything particularly. Like for me, when you start getting into the A categories, you're talking about making long kicks and blocking something, you know, some amazing special teams tackle. So, but B plus, they did what they were supposed to do. Nothing crazy happened special teams wise. So B plus.
I'll say this is probably the first year in a hot minute where I've not noticed that Auburn is like getting in field goal range, or at least kicking field goals.
I mean, we've had great field goal kickers that have been pretty much our entire offense for the last few years.
Yeah.
That's a major reason why in only 4 years, Daniel Carlson was able to be the leader in the SEC in points. You know, if you're like that other dude who just took over and you got an additional year because of COVID, and now all of a sudden you're whatever, you got a whole other year to do it, and you still didn't make it until halfway through the season. Get that guy out of here. He's got the record though, so I mean, I can't hold it against him, but
I can.
Yeah, I had to go B plus on that.
Yeah.
All right, now let's get to our second favorite unit on the team, and that's going to be the defense. How are we feeling about how the defense performed on Saturday versus Ole Miss? I think you started before B Will, right? So Dylan, or did we go? I don't know. I had to walk away because my son was doing everything he could think to do.
I think I went first. I kind of screamed out the A plus just because I love special teams.
Yeah. All right, B Will, get it cranked up. Defense.
Defense. I give them a solid B. The big giving up those third downs, long yardage, giving up really long yardage. That's not good. It's not good. One thing that I have, we've had this metric, or at least I have, since 2021, where I said, if you can hold the other team to less than this many points, you did your job. To me, that number is always 27. Now you're going to say, B Will, they scored more than 27. And I'm going to say, oh, yes, I know that. But I'm also going to say that the offense could not possess the ball to save their lives between whenever that second touchdown happened in the second quarter and the fourth quarter. If your offense is going to give you nothing, you are going to play below. Like, you're going to give the other team an additional drive, maybe 2, maybe 3, depending on how bad your offense is looking. I think the offense failed the defense again because once they got Ole Miss's offense bottled up, they continuously got off the field. They were getting pressure. They were getting sacks. They were getting tipped INTs. The defense did everything the defense needed to do. If we had a semblance of offense, possession of the ball, then they would have probably held them to 21, I think, fairly easily, because they would have taken 2 or 3 possessions away from Ole Miss. So I think the defense did a very good job. An A-plus effort from defense is like them scoring points and stuff like that. Now, that didn't happen, so that's why it's not an A, but I think a B. B-plus would have been better if you're not giving up conversions left and right. But as far as points and effort needed to win the game, I think that they did that for enough times to have done their job. So I say B.
Okay.
I'm gonna give the defense a solid B minus. It started off the game very rough. A lot of missed tackles. That Cam Riley missed sack on 2nd and 15 is gonna haunt me. I just think that overall they did enough to get the B grade, but they didn't do enough to get it higher than like an 80.
Yeah. I'm going to be a little bit tougher on the defense, and I'm going to give them a C plus. I just feel so. Let me point out a few things, and again, I'm gonna be hard on this grade for a reason. There were a lot of opportunities there for Ole Miss that they just didn't take advantage of. Like Ole Miss shot themselves in the foot quite a few times in this game. The interception that we got, that was just a terrible throw by Jackson Dart. That was a good 2 yards behind the intended receiver. It got tipped and it went right into the hands of Donovan Kaufman. Like we didn't force that pressure. We didn't do anything. He just flat out missed the throw. The inability to stop him on 3rd and long was, that was the game. Like again, you get the opportunities that you had where you had Ole Miss offensive players dead to rights in the backfield and just didn't come up with the tackle is crazy to me. And again, I get it. These are talented guys, but you're talented guys too. You're one of the best defenses in the conference. You got to make those plays because you were there to make the play. How we continuously, like between the tackles, Ole Miss wasn't finding very much success. Whenever they ran left around the outside and they bounced that thing outside, there was nobody home. They were just like, you know what? We really only want to play from the middle to the right side on defense, run defense. If you want to go left, I ain't got nothing for y'all out there. I didn't understand that, how consistently we were giving up so many big plays in that direction. And I have to go back and watch film and see kind of what was the issue there. Late in the game on the last drive, where they passed the ball quite a bit, they were just confused on what the responsibility was going to be in the slot. Like they basically just left the slot receiver wide open and somebody went to go blitz, or somebody, like they just didn't guard the slot receiver on like 3 plays in a row. And I was just like, what are we doing on our communication right here? If like he's gonna blitz, that means somebody's got to come get his guy, right? Like we're gonna do that, right? Yeah. Nah, just let him so those lapses, and again, all 28 points that I think Ole Miss got, like we turned the ball over twice. Both of those turnovers were deep into Auburn territory, right? So it wasn't like one of those things where we gave them a short field offensively, right? Like none of those things. Ole Miss legitimately drove the ball down the field 4 separate times when we had them in 3rd and long scenarios on just about every one of those drives. So I can't give the defense above a C plus on this because they were there to be able to do the stuff they needed to do. And had Ole Miss been better yesterday, that score would have looked worse. It would have looked worse. I don't think the defense did well, right? Like it wasn't terrible. I know C feels hard, right? Like that's average to me. I think that this was an average output from a superior defense. So 28 points, I think you're lucky to only walk away with that.
Yeah, I hate when a defense makes Jackson Dart look like he's a top 5 quarterback in the SEC when he's just not.
Jackson Dart's played well this season.
He's played well.
Oh my God.
To your point, like the one he missed with, like, oh, he just missed that. But see, he does that.
Yeah, for sure.
That's the difference between an elite quarterback and one who's just like he's good, but he's gonna sometimes. So knowing that though, that's why I never put them on the level with LSU. Jaden Daniels isn't missing those throws. Like he's making all those throws. The timing's good. Jackson Dart is like, he's okay. So him missing that doesn't, to me, that's not a knock against our defense because, well, they didn't really cause that. It's like, yeah, but he's going to miss that. And what they did do was take advantage of it. They didn't tip it and drop the INT, which we have done a couple times this season. Right. They caught it and moved the ball down the field and gave us some yards as well. So I understand why, though. Giving up that much yardage, it looked really bad. It was really embarrassing to know Judkins wanted to come here. We didn't get in. I thought, hey, we're fine at running back, so we didn't necessarily need him. But he played like a man spurned. He played like he took it personal. And to give up that yardage to him and what's the other guy's name? Is it Bentley?
Ulysses.
Ulysses Bentley.
This man's name
the
is
fourth.
Ulysses, playing for Mississippi. He is.
Sounds like
It is
Civil War.
1850, and this man is running mad. It's crazy, man.
That's
It was
funny.
embarrassing to watch us give up that yardage. Like, you get an offense in 3rd and 15 plus, and you think, okay, good, we're about to get a stop. To not get the stop, that was disheartening. But to our defense's credit, they buckled down after a lot of that, and they did what they needed to do to get their offense off the field. And I was really impressed with, I guess, the recovery. To only give up 14 with all that yardage and then hold them down and give us chance after chance to catch up. That's why I gave them a grade. Maybe it's more heart than what I saw with
That's
my
not,
eyes.
and again, it's not to say that they played bad in this
Right,
game.
right.
I just
I
think
understood.
that they had their opportunities to make this relative. And I don't really grade on a curve, right? I know relative to what Ole Miss's offense has been doing, right? Then you're holding them below that, and that's admirable. I think if they hadn't given up that last score that they did, which really the bookend scores to me were the worst ones. The first score that Ole Miss got and the last score that Ole Miss got, I think, were the ones where I was just like, yo, what are we doing? The last score is difficult because, of course, your offense hasn't really been giving you very many opportunities to, stay off of the field at that point in time.
Yeah.
But I mean, dead to rights a couple of times, man, where it's just like,
man.
yo, y'all, you could have gotten off the field right there. Just make that tackle.
We're seeing
be in position.
We're seeing a pattern now from Cam Riley. Unfortunately, we're missing some of these tackles, man. And I mean, physically, he is ideal. What are you saying, Dylan?
As the sources say, that Cam Riley still doesn't know how to play football.
Yeah, I mean,
he's definitely giving Owen Papo vibes right now, and that's not a good thing.
Yeah, that might be too much of a compliment for Cam Riley. He looks like
physically, he's not. I mean, how many people physically are Owen Papo? But still,
right?
Jake Holland vibes from Cam Riley.
Okay.
All right.
DJ James had himself he looks lost at times.
So I mean, let's talk about the defensive backfield, right? Because I feel as if they didn't have their best day. I don't feel like our DB, besides
Keontae Scott,
my boy,
he came to play.
He was everywhere on the field yesterday, man. I was like, them weeks off. He was like, the Ole Miss got to pay for every week I was injured.
Yeah,
he was out there. He was absolutely balling, man.
He balled. The man balled.
Shout out to Dr. James Andrews and the staff over there for getting my boy Keontae right, man, because he came back in with a vengeance, baby.
He did.
Loved it. But yeah, I just feel like the DBs had a off game, man. I saw a lot of coverage busts back there. When Pritchett went out the game with that injury, they went straight and picked on Kayan Lee, like literally like a play or two later. And Kayan Lee was, it was decent coverage, but like he the one-on-one matchup, he got beat.
He's getting baptized by fire this year.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got all the tools to be great. But,
he's going to be.
It's year one. It's year one. So this is what happens. You go against their least experienced corner if you're a good offense, and that's what they did. And like you said, it's not like he was just wild turned around. It's like, but yeah, you're not. We're going to place this just right because you were going to be in a position where we could take advantage of your position if we place this ball in the right spot. Right. You do it, done.
So where was JD Rem at last night? He was not on the field at all.
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that question. Yeah, so all right. You know what? Before we get into these last two, let me do the drawing because I feel like there's going to be. I feel like this is going to get really well. Actually, let me go to the comments first, and then we'll do the drawing.
Get some positivity in here with the drawing before we talk.
Blackwing says, explain why Robbie gets 3 tight ends. We will get into the offense in just a minute, but it's a run heavy package, so that's why
he gets the non-Rivaldo fare with the tight ends.
Very true. Walt Taylor says Dart had a below average day passing, 10 of 17, 1 touchdown and 1 interception. He definitely did, but he just was off, man. Like he just missed some throws that were there. I don't know how much our defense impacted him. But again, this is me watching from the booth, haven't gone back and watched film to say, oh, this is what we were doing in scenarios to really change the picture for him, all that kind of stuff. I have no idea why he was off yesterday. Another one from Black Wing who says, why can't we use Woodyard as key down pass rush? I don't know that Woodyard has the speed to be a pass rusher.
I think he is a true middle linebacker, like a 4-3 middle linebacker. Not a 4-2-5. He is a 4-3 middle of the field. If anybody comes through here toting the rock, I'm going to lay them out. But that's not the offense. That's not the defense we run, first of all. So that's part of the problem. We have 2 linebackers on the field, and the offense is going to manipulate those and put them in coverage. And I don't know if he has the foot speed to cover well. And that's probably the biggest issue with putting him on the field. I mean, Asante's fast, and he was a coverage liability a little bit because, I mean, that's what they do. They're going to put you in situations. Lane has always been a good OC. He's always been good at scheming it up. I'm going to isolate your linebackers and see if they can keep up with these athletes I have. If the answer is no, you're cooked. And if that, for as fast as we've seen Asante run, if he's not a great cover, and very few linebackers are, let's be clear, very few linebackers are agile enough with a combination of quicks and speed to keep up with either a big wide receiver. At times they can keep up with a big wide receiver, but athletically, usually they can't jump as well as the biggest wide receivers can. If it's a fast wide receiver, like you get a slot guy isolated on a linebacker, cooked food. It's advantage to the slot guy because he's got more speed. So there's not a lot of guys who can do it. If Woodyard is not as fast as the 2 guys that they have on the field, he would be a liability in the passing game. I see Phil Petway making this, but he said, yeah, like he's KJ Britt.
Yeah,
he's KJ Britt. That's a very good comp for what Woodyard's skill set appears to be. We haven't seen him on the field to confirm that, but yeah, I think he's more akin to a KJ Britt than other linebackers that we've had.
For sure. All right, let's get into this drawing and we will get back over into your comments and then we'll do our final grades. We are giving away a mug courtesy of GWT2 Energy Consulting Services. If you haven't done the hashtag already, Saturdays for you, because I'm going to go ahead and draw. 67 people have entered. Somebody's got to win this. Today's mug giveaway goes to Chris Causey. Chris,
where you at?
If you're still in here, make sure that you let it be known. While we're waiting on Chris, want to remind you that today's show is sponsored by Manscaped. Gentlemen across the nation, we have an urgent message for you, brought to you by Manscaped, the brand that took your balls to space, is now launching them in an ultra sphere, introducing the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra. Manscaped's 5th generation trimmer features 2 next-gen interchangeable skin-safe blade heads, a standard trimming blade for taking a little off the top, and a new foil blade to go for that smooth finish wherever your heart desires. No more wet shaving down there. Count me in. Get 20% off and free shipping with code RAPPORT at Manscaped. That's 20% off and free shipping with code RAPPORT at manscaped.com. Your balls have been through enough. It's time to go ultra with Manscaped. All right.
Need to have a player of the week sponsored by Manscaped. Who balled out the most?
Feels appropriate. Feels appropriate.
Oh, man.
Somebody said he's here, but I didn't. Oh, there he is. Boom. Chris is here. Chris, you need to be doing the necessary. We appreciate you as always for jumping in. See you in the comments very often. That's not the one. I need the one that says where the giveaway is supposed to be going. Business at the War Report is somewhere in here. I should have my stuff organized better than this. Shame on you, Ike. Shame on where it you. Is. I don't even think it's in here. Business at the War Report. You know, you email us, man, and we'll send the stuff over to you. We appreciate you very much, Chris, for being a member of the War Report. All right. The dubious task of grading the offense. I don't think we need to spend a whole lot of time on this, but, you know, I'll go first and say, to me, the offense is going to get and this is going to probably be surprising considering how hard I was on the defense, but I think I'm going to give the offense a D+. I was thinking going C-, but D+, because we did actually move the ball at points in time. We did take advantage of a turnover and get scores. We did put 21 points on the board, which is more than what we have done in other P5 contests thus far this season, even though one of those was during garbage time. But I can't give it above that because everything after that second score looks like they were just making it up on the fly.
Yeah.
In the last 2 years, we have seen the worst double pass trick plays called in the history of Auburn football that I can remember, that I can personally remember. One isn't even, well, one of them wasn't a double pass, but excuse me, the Coy Moore play last year versus LSU was,
yeah,
it wasn't as bad as this one. I think that this one was worse. I think this was a worse trick play than the Coy Moore reverse pass thing. I don't know why anybody drew that up and thought it would work. Like, I'm seriously struggling as to the strategic thought that says a guy who only plays quarterback is lined up out here at wide receiver, and you throw the ball over to him and think he's going to do anything other than throw again, and you don't really you don't really even have it blocked because somebody's got to account, like in just the lineup, somebody's accounting for the fact that he's lined up at a slot receiver, right? So you have a player over the top of him, and when you throw it out there, you've only got one blocker out here. So I struggle to understand why anybody thought that that would work. And then the routes that were, I'm really feeling like I'm finna talk myself out of D+ with how bad that play was by itself. Both of the interceptions, even though the second one I still strongly believe was not really an interception, both of the interceptions were bad decisions. They were bad schematically, and they were bad decisions by the quarterback. I don't actually really. Peyton Thorne's was a little bit worse because at least the safety had to come over and do something to impact Robbie's. Like Peyton Thorne threw that into a safety, like a safety that was playing to that side of the field already.
Yeah.
And it was underthrown. So the DB is actually who got the pick, not the safety coming over the top.
Yeah.
Robbie's, I feel like it, I don't need, again, I have to go back, watch it back on film. I feel like it was only one receiver in that route. And so they were just saying, we're going to go deep to VAR no matter what here. And he just sat back and threw it, like, regardless. Doesn't matter what the rest of the defense is doing. We're going to block it up and have a one receiver route. And okay, I'm going to just throw it. I know you said throw it, coach. I'm going to throw it. Like, I don't. And he wasn't ever really open. It would have had to been a 50-50 shot, and you can't throw a 50-50 shot like that to VAR. Like, there's nothing that was good about that. And again, those things I think tip more into coaching than they do player execution. Connor Lew was a revelation. I think he played
we heard
well.
during camp. So that was reinforced.
When Connor Lew came in, I think he played well. And I wish I could give separate grades to the pass offense and the rush offense, because Jarquez Hunter finally had a game where he was able to break out and get a long run. He scored 2 touchdowns in the game. But yeah, a D+, man, and I think I'm being generous when I say that. I think I'm going to change this grade when I go and watch the film back, but today I'm going to say D+.
Don't forget, VAR got interfered. He definitely got tackled before that ball even got to him.
He did. I mean, but again, that
probably shouldn't have been thrown, is what you're saying.
That's
right. Like, you just don't. I mean, the number one, the play call is crap, but number two, just don't throw it. It's not there, right? Like, do something else with the football, right? Like, you need to, at some point in time, you gotta be a football player and just say, you know what? I know coach said we're going to take this shot, but it's not there. Do you have a check down available on that play? Again, I haven't seen the film, but that's what they preach all offseason, touchdown to check down. If the TD's not there, we're going to check it down. You can go away from it and not take that shot in that scenario. All right. And they didn't even do it off of like a heavy run. Like, I was so bad. And again, I put that on the player for taking the shot, but I put that a lot more on the coaches for calling the shot.
Why not call that on third down? So here we go. It's like a minute, 20 seconds or something. So we're going to run hurry up. We need to get down the field quickly. give a first and second down try with some intermediate stuff, some short to intermediate stuff. See if we can get a couple of first downs. Then you take that shot. Because if you weren't going to get a shot, if you get into third and long and it was going to be this play or we're not going to get any points anyway, then that's just a really long putt. But to call that on first down where it's basically that long pass play or nothing.
I don't mind even the first down shot. I don't think that's the first down shot that you take. Like, I don't know, man. I don't know, bro. Like, and I want to see stuff that makes sense, and I have not seen that consistently from this offense. And again, I know that it feels weird to say that I feel like I want to put a lot of that blame on coaching, but I just don't, because at this point in time, I'm left to believe that we're just bereft of ability to do competent things, which is why the offense looks incompetent, because either that or it's bad play calling, right? Like, either the play calling is to blame or the talent is severely lacking. And I just can't believe that the talent is in one season with a transfer class that had as much talent is this much worse. For it to be worse, that's one. This much worse feels weird to me. And it feels like we're trying to do this whole square peg round hole thing right now. So, all right. Anybody else? Give your grades.
I'm gonna rock with a D-.
Okay.
Getting very close to that F range. You play half of a good game offensively, you're moving the ball, but the other half is just nails to the eyes. I just pick a quarterback. That's all we learned from this. That's one of the things we learned from this game. Pick a quarterback, run with it, and don't falter from that. You can't pass the ball anymore, no matter who's in at quarterback. You say one guy's the more accurate passer, but he doesn't look it. You have a guy who can run the ball very well, but all you're calling is run plays whenever he did very well in the short game. Wide receivers can't get open. D-.
I mean, that's fair. We can't really argue with you too much. I'm gonna say D, because we did run the ball fairly well in spots. Now, that was for about maybe a full 15 minutes of game time. He had 2 drives right there where we really moved the ball. We ended up capitalizing on some of them, so that's good. We didn't stall out in the red zone necessarily, so that's always good to see. So we scored a couple points. That last 7 was absolute garbage time. I'm not putting much stock in that, so I'm going to say we scored 14 meaningful points in a game where we desperately needed to possess the ball and give our defense some time off the field, and we couldn't do it. I absolutely see the effect now. Now it's been coaching. They've dialed this back further and further and further as the season has gone on, either not confident in the coaches' in the players' ability to execute, or not confident in the players' ability to execute without turning the ball over. But again, and this is, I think I kind of tried to articulate this earlier in the week. I make the switch sooner than later when it's trending a certain direction. And what I mean by that is, you can say, well, we don't want a chance throwing the ball because it will turn the ball over. If you don't trust the guy's ability to throw over the middle, you don't trust their timing with the wide receivers to throw the ball without turning it over, then you don't throw it, right? Well, the outcome was a loss. If the outcome is going to be a loss, I would much rather chance throwing the ball with these guys, with one guy, and live with those results. Because so far we've been playing safe and not throwing the ball, safer and safer, not throwing the ball, not option routes for the wide receivers, but we've been losing. If the outcome is going to be, we didn't turn the QBs, like the end of the half, INT by Robbie, that was the safest possible time to get an INT. They don't have enough time for a drive. You're going to go, right? Okay. That's part of the reason why they chanced it there, why they called that play there. It's like, all right, well, we weren't going to get anything on this drive. We're just going to go into the half anyway. It's okay. But if you call passing plays the entire game, sure, maybe you toss the INT. Maybe there's a misread, safety breaks on a short route that you're trying to throw. You can turn the ball over, great. Maybe you're going to be in the game longer that way by playing safe, by not throwing the ball. But if we're just going to fold and never move the ball down the field with the passing game, then the defense is going to buckle eventually. The outcome is a loss. If you're going to learn something by throwing the ball, but it not working, if you're going to actually find something, then try it, because what we're finding is nothing. We're discovering nothing. We're finding no rhythm, no gems, no wide receiver has the ability to show more than what they've shown, and you're losing. You're
Well,
losing by
here,
playing
I mean,
safe.
again, I think the thing for me in all of this, the narrative that I don't understand is the lack of commitment to something is what you're saying. Let's commit to a direction. And if that direction is we're gonna run Coach Freeze Montgomery offense and it's gonna be up tempo and it's gonna be short passes and it's gonna be RPO, let's just do that and let
Yeah.
someone get better at doing that week after week after week after week until you see the product continue to improve.
Right.
Or if you're saying we're going to abandon that and we're not going to run the offense we want to run, then run something conducive for the players that you have. But they're doing this intermediate stuff, and that doesn't make sense. Dylan, what's up?
Arkansas fired their offensive coordinator.
Yeah, just saw that.
Enos
Dan
got
Enos got
fired
the boots.
already. Wow.
And remember how I said earlier, Arkansas and Auburn are the same team? Let's prove it right now.
Fire for offensive coordinator.
Fire their team.
I don't even like. It's going to be interesting then to see how Arkansas's offense is going to operate over the remainder of this season. Because do you feel like, I mean, I don't think that Enos was a good fit for what KJ Jefferson wanted to be as a quarterback, but also I don't know, like, what direction do you take it now? But see, I don't like this. Now they're unpredictable, and they might come out here
Now
and
we
get
don't
out.
have 8 weeks of. We're not going to have 8 weeks of knowing exactly what they are trying to do and being able to stop it. We don't know what they're going. Well, we're going to have 1 week of tape on them. One.
They didn't fire Sam Pittman. They'll be the same. I don't think they're going to be. Well, I think what they did, they fired the scapegoat. You fired, like, all right, we fired the reason why we suck. We should be, if we don't play well, now we just don't have an OC.
Dang, Sam Pittman threw Enos under the bus to get himself another year, bro.
Well, no bus can get over that speed bump that is Sam Pittman anyways, so might as well throw Dan Enos under there.
Hey, he might have been under the bus. He can sure get in front of that mug. But yeah, man. I don't know. Again, for our offense, just commit to something. Whether it's a commitment to doing something different than I don't ascribe to the dumb it down philosophy, because the dumbed down philosophy makes you way too easy to defend.
Yes.
Makes you, because you up the level of predictability that we have been has made bad defenses look competent.
Right.
That's not going to win football. Like, again, if it's just going to be, man, we're going to have better Jimmys and Joes than you, so we're just going to line up and do whatever we want to, then you absolutely need to go out there and just get more talent. But that means you have mailed in this season. Right. You've said, we don't have the talent to do all the stuff that we want to do, so I'm just going to hope that we get it right every now and then, or the other team gets it wrong enough.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of like
that's not a strategy for winning football games.
It's not. You see this a lot in the NFL when there are backup quarterbacks. Like this week, or really the last game and the current game, the Cleveland Browns have played P.J. Walker, who is a perennial backup quarterback. Like, I think he was actually playing in the XFL in the offseason. And I think today, I just checked it, so it's like a shootout, right? Because the Browns are up 27-21. P.J. Walker's thrown 5 passes in a half of football. Why? Because we're going to run the ball. The defense is going to play more aggressive, and they've scored a touchdown because the defense has. And we can compensate in all these other ways, but offense, you're not going to do much. We're just going to hand it off. Now, fortunately for them, they're built to just run the ball and they can ask the quarterback to do significantly less. That's great. That means you have an identity that will support a very, very light workload on the quarterback. We don't. Like, we could. I think we could. I think we're more equipped to be a run team than the coaches are letting us do, and that's what's partly frustrating. Is if we
especially with this stable of backs, bro.
Right, like with these running backs, what we've seen, we were able to get as far as how much yards before contact we can give our running backs. I think we would be much better. And that non-commitment, being non-committal to either one, hey, if you want to be an air it out guy, just air it out. Errors and INTs and mistakes, air it out, because at least we would be learning how to do it. We would be learning on the job if you were willing to do that. The same way we're getting baptized by fire with some young guys in the secondary. Yeah, it resulted in some TDs for the other team against Texas A&M and last night. But you know what? I absolutely believe these guys are going to be better towards the end of the season and for next season because they're going through it right now. What are we doing now? Well, we're not going to try to run it, throw it because we're not good at that. All right, so nobody's going to get better at the passing game. Got it. What else can we try to do? Well, we're not going to run it too much because we want to try to stay balanced. All right, well, great. Now we're going to be not great at that either. We're not going to be great at running the ball like we could have been November last year because we haven't committed to it enough. We're still going to try to sprinkle in a passing game that's broken and break up what could be working with the running game. This is now institutional decision to not be great at something for whatever reason they think it hurts something going forward. And I'm not going to insult them like they don't have a reason for not pivoting to something else. I just don't know if I would agree with that reason.
Yeah, that doesn't make a ton of sense to me. Like I'm thinking about, have both of you give your grades? By the way, I want to make sure
I said D because they moved the ball. Dylan said D minus.
D minus.
But you said D plus. Okay.
All right.
No, I said D minus. I was like, we did the whole trifecta of a D grade.
Just a bunch of D. Pause. So, all right.
Sponsored by Manscaped.
I don't get why it seems like every other game we forget things that actually worked during those games, i.e., during the LSU game, what things we did that worked well versus LSU. And to be clear, if it worked versus LSU, it would have worked versus Ole Miss because Ole Miss is actually a smaller defense up front. Like they're quicker, but they're smaller. Jeremiah Cobb didn't have a single touch during this game. Like he didn't get the ball on a sweep. As a matter of fact, I don't know that we handed the ball off on a speed sweep the entire, like, because does anybody remember one that I'm forgetting? Did we have one in that game?
I mean, I missed a couple snaps because I kind of got casual about watching at the end there, but I didn't see a snap from Cobb that he touched. No, I didn't see a touch from Cobb.
I'm looking at his snap count. He had 6 total snaps in the game, and all 4 of them were pass plays, and he was run blocking on 4 pass plays and 2 run blocking.
Did Batie get a touch?
He got 1 or 2.
Yeah, he had a couple of runs in that game. Mm-hmm. But I'm confused as to why, again, we, for whatever reason, just abandon portions of our offense. And I get having a different strategic way that you want to attack every defense. But that doesn't mean just abandon portions of your offense, does it? Like you should have, and this is where we get back to the statement of identity. We don't have like a stable that we can build off of. We're not saying, hey, we're this team and we're going to modify off of that. We're just kind of making it up it looks like a different Auburn offense every single week. And that to me, again, points back to, we don't have confidence in our ability to do anything.
Yeah.
We don't have any confidence in our ability to do anything at the most basic level. And I'm sorry, I just don't believe we're that bereft of talent. Like that stuff that you do when you we're not even doing the desperate, I know we don't have talent, so we're gonna run a bunch of like funky trick play stuff, because that Holden Geriner thing is not a trick play. That is a throw that away, never run that again play. I don't even count that as a trick play. But we're not even doing the, hey, we're gonna throw everything at them, kitchen sink, we're not even doing that stuff. We are literally committing to be pedestrian. Everybody else gassing up vehicles and driving around, and we're like, I'm gonna just walk. I'm good. It's better for my lungs. I'm gonna walk. I don't get that, man. So that brings us to the last thing, and let's talk about coaching. Do we want to give coaching grades in this game? Because I feel like it's gonna get. I feel like we're gonna be into the toxicity levels if we go here, but do we want to do it?
I say let's say it and keep it simple, because we've been chipping away at what we think about of the coaches so far, the entire show and the post game last night. F on coaching. Well, okay, wait. Defensive coaches are out there too. Mm-hmm. I think the defense has given us a chance to win. I'd never put missed tackles on coaching.
Right.
Coaches can't miss tackles.
The coaches put the defense in prime position to be there for literally every play. So
yeah, every play that was a really long play for them on the ground, I saw players there missing tackles. I mean, some players are good. You know, Judkins is good. He's going to break tackles.
Yeah.
Not wrapping up the quarterback, And Jackson Dart ain't no Cam Newton. Like, he ain't strong enough where you should be. Maybe he is, and I'm not giving him enough credit.
He's not.
Okay. Hey man, football is hard, man. Hey, some of these quarterbacks are a lot stronger than they look, and I don't want to sell Jackson Dart short because he's running well against pretty much everybody. So, but yeah, I think it's fair if we're gonna factor in defense and offensive coaching. That's got to be an F from the top down level. I'm going to start at the top of the pyramid. I firmly believe, and I know this to have been the case with Gus and Harsin, because they're offensive guys. They're not just saying, "Hey, Phillip Montgomery, you do your job. Wide receiver coach, you do your job." There is some tinkering and some tampering, and we saw, well, as it was reported before the game started, Hugh Freeze is calling part of the plays. What that means, at the very least, though, is that don't call this game like you would for Peyton Thorne when Robbie Ashford's in there. You know what? Don't worry about it. I'll take over that, and I'm going to make sure it's just this. That means he's also in control of the personnel that gets on the field when Robbie is in the game as well. That's mismanagement. That's mismanagement. The idea that quarterbacks need to be switched constantly, that's mismanagement. The personnel that gets on the field, it's hard to say it's mismanagement. I think it's mismanagement. The entire offensive side of the ball and the head coach, mismanagement. So if I'm going to say one side is good, the other side is awful, and then the head coach is the third part of that, I'm going to say D again. D plus. Okay. D plus. I still like what the defense has done for us. We thought the defense was going to be way more suspect this year, and it's turned out that it's not. It's given us a fighting chance in every game that we played, maybe except for LSU. If they had done better, we still lost that game. But yeah, the defense hasn't been the problem. Offensive coaching and head coaching, D plus.
All right, Dylan.
I'm gonna give him an F. As a teacher, you got to look at the gradings. Defensive coaching gets like a 75. Offensive coaching gets a 25, so that averages out to a 50. So I'm gonna flat out give it an F. Offensive-minded coaches should not produce offenses like what we saw yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's difficult for me because, again, I do feel like the defensive coaches did a really good job of putting us in good positions for the vast majority of that game. Not the entirety of the game. I do think in certain scenarios we were probably in some looks that we could have gotten out of. But I think defensive execution was more to blame than coaching on that. Offensive coaching, I don't know. There was so much wrong with the way that we call that offensive game plan that it's difficult for me to give the offensive side of the ball as far as the coaching. Listen, I'm not even going into week preparation and all that. I don't know what they did with it, but just the way that game was called during that game felt very bad offensively. The question here is, how bad do I want? Yeah, I don't know, man. I gotta go F. I'm sorry. I gotta go F. Right. Like it was so bad that it's hard. Like, even as good as I feel like when you average it all together, it's still bad from a coaching standpoint. So, all right, off that. And I will say this, and then we're going to get into our final segment and get out of here. I will say this. I am still of the opinion that we have 4 winnable games coming up right now. Mississippi State, not a very good team. Arkansas, Vanderbilt, New Mexico State, not good. They're not. Listen, man, they're not better than Auburn. They're just not. Like, I don't care what we've shown so far this season. I don't care how much people don't have faith in what they're going to do. They're not here. And this is why I say this. You should not be able to trot out in a post game and give the talent or the pregame and talk about how more talented the other team. There should be no talent conversation in these games. You are equal to or better than every team in this next 4 stretch from a talent perspective. You should win. You should go on a 4-game winning streak right now. If the conversation that everybody keeps having, from coaches to fans, is we're just not talented enough to win these games, that excuse is evaporating starting today. You don't have that. So if you don't go out there and you don't win those games, you should not blame the talent. At that point in time, it's got to be something else, right? So no, win 4 games and salvage the remainder of your season. And I think that Auburn should be able to do that, even with not having a great offense that they're trotting out there. You should be able to beat the next 4 teams on your schedule. Will they do that? I don't know. But again, I'm not actually responsible for making any of that happen. I don't call plays. I don't go to practices. I don't execute plays. But if the reason people keep saying, we just don't have the talent, there's no reason you don't win these last 4 games, because talent should not be the reasoning. Because people feel like we're too hard on the coaches. Y'all always want to blame the coaches. We just don't have the talent. Okay. All right, great. These 4 games show me what's up.
ESPN FBI has us favored in 3 of those next 4 games.
We're not favored against Arkansas, yeah.
On the road, I understand that. Yeah.
But I mean, still, what in the Arkansas game, it's got to be close, right?
It's like 51-49.
Yeah. Again,
these teams are exactly the same. The only difference that was Sam Pittman manned up and fired his OC in midseason.
So, right. So if it's just talent, go win the next 4. Rattle off 4 because you're more talented than those teams, and then we'll take a better chance, a shooter's chance against Bama in the Iron Bowl. Maybe you get some momentum going, whatever, right? So cool. I just don't want to hear talent when it comes to these next 4 games. I want to see going out there playing some football and getting some dubs, man. You're getting Austin Keys back. Keontae Scott is back. Damari Austin is primed to come back soon. You should be as close to full strength as you have been all season. Go out there and get some dubs, bro.
First 4 is crazy. Second 4, as far as conference schedule, next 3 are going to be very beatable. Yo, to your point, Ike, he may have set himself up by making talent the scapegoat for those tough games, because without that excuse, like, we've looked awful, right? Buddy, you can't lose. Like, I think it would be such a. I watched Mississippi State and Arkansas play a football game yesterday.
Yeah, that's you're right to put some air quotes around that.
Like,
bro, how?
Oh my
never
God.
mind. We finna
like
get
that. We can't lose to these teams. I am still all for you. Don't make a judgment on a coach year 1.
Yeah.
I now look at the results from year 1 so far sideways, because I think it's been a mismanagement and some poor decisions in who you bring in and what you decide to do on offense. But you lose to these teams, and none of that will be an excuse. Like, it doesn't matter. With Peyton Thorne starting, we should be able to beat Mississippi State, Arkansas, New Mexico State, and Vanderbilt. Like, it would be a catastrophic failure to lose to the teams that we're going to play in the next 4 weeks. I seriously hope we don't fall that low.
All right. Well, we appreciate you guys for bearing with us as we get into those grades. We're going to get into everybody's favorite segment where we go around the world of sports and talk about things that we saw in everybody's favorite time.
What did we see?
What did we see right here on the War Report? Dylan's first time getting a chance to come through and do the What Did We See thing. Dylan, in honor of that, I'm going to let you go first, man. I'm going to let you get in here and do your thing first and foremost. Dylan, what did you see?
So earlier on in the season,
go ahead.
Early on in the season, I made my predictions for who was going to win the national championship, and I may have picked Penn State to win it all.
I recall the pick happening, by the way, and I thought it was crazy at the time, but I'm going to let you continue.
And the fact of the matter is, after watching against Ohio State, that game, I talked about the offense for a little bit, and I sat down and really thought about it. This Penn State defense is really good. This is a national championship caliber defense for Penn State, and they played against another national championship quality defense in Ohio State. But the problem with Penn State is their offense plays it way too simple. They don't have the guys at wide receiver. Drew Aller, apparently they did not develop him over the offseason. They decided, you know what, let's turn this guy who has the most talent out of the last 4 quarterbacks that we've had under and James Franklin's tenure there, and turn him into a game manager, because that works out very well. You can win games with game managers, but you can't when you got to play two of the top 5 defenses in the country. And they just, if they want to, they have Michigan to get right, and they still have a chance to go to the Big Ten, and the national championship thing can still happen.
It could.
They just need to fix some things on offense, and that starts with Drew Aller, and that starts with James Franklin.
Yeah, I listen. Well, actually, you know what? I'm gonna let B Will do this. B Will, tell him to do the thing.
With what?
Talking about Penn State. Do the thing.
Oh, buddy, Penn State. James Franklin is a fraud.
There it is.
James Franklin has been a fraud. I did not personally bet this game because I thought, okay, Ohio State's looked really shaky too. They've kind of got breaking in new quarterback syndrome. It hadn't looked great. Second half, they pull away. But I had no confidence that Penn State would actually win this game because I actually bet the under on the first half of the game. That's what I bet. Because they're not going to score because these offenses are both shaky. James Franklin is a fraud. When I heard that press conference where he was like, what a beat reporter asked, hey, James Franklin, do you think maybe you could let your 5-star quarterback just, sling the ball a little bit? See, you get some.
That shot was funny.
Some single high and just let him uncork that thing, right? And he was like, what? I don't even understand what you're saying. Are you saying just throw the ball down the field if no matter what? I mean, you got to be so careful with offense because quarterbacks, they can throw interceptions. But stop. Buddy, I was sure James Franklin was overrated and overcompensated. I am now positive he will never win a championship there. Oh, okay, that's too far. If you get the right talent, it's always possible. Jimbo Fisher won a national championship. So anybody can win a national championship if you have enough talent there.
Gene Chizik won. I'm just playing.
Well, no, I like Gene. Gene's good at something. Jimbo's good enough.
I was just
Gene Chizik plays.
Yeah.
He's not a good head coach.
Yeah. So James Franklin is going to, apparently you heard it, like philosophically, he does not want to take risks with offense. But buddy, unless you got some all-world wide receivers and all-world offensive line where you can just pound people with the running game, you're going to have to let your quarterback do something. You're going to go to Ohio State and lose because their defense is actually playing good this year. I knew you were going to lose that game. I really was pretty sure you're going to lose a game. Money is a different thing. You got to be extra sure with money, but you don't have a chance playing conservative against a better defense and a better offense. What are you doing? You kept Sean Clifford and letting him play a 5th year. He's okay at best. That's the guy you trusted, but the guy who actually has the physical tools and the arm talent to do the things that Sean Clifford couldn't do. You're going to hold him back. They didn't have a prayer. They did not have a prayer. So sorry, Dylan, that you picked them. I know Harrison Tar is great because he agreed with me. We were in the chat. He said, I was like, James Franklin's overrated. He said, thank you. I was like, thank you, Tar. Thank you.
Hold on. Tar hates Penn State. If James Franklin wasn't there, Tar would still hate Penn State.
Okay.
So okay. Let that be known. Tar's hatred towards Penn State kind of rivals mine of Clemson. And with every bad take, there's a good one. I have Florida State in my playoffs. And I still
listen,
think
man, nobody's gonna be right all the time. It's okay. I didn't think you were crazy for the pick. I was just like, I don't see it. But cool. I think because Penn State does this every year, man. They have all this talent. Since James Franklin has gotten there, Penn State has had a embarrassment of wealth at talent. And
yes.
I mean, not all over the field, but like at a lot of spots.
Right.
And they just have not done it at all. And I just can't. I didn't see this season being any different. So it is what it is. All right. Next up to bat, B Will, tell everybody what you saw.
I'm pulling up the stats for a certain game that really got my attention yesterday. And that game was a certain UNC versus the Virginia Cavaliers.
Bro, now, this was probably the most improbable. Go ahead. I'm sorry. This is your thing. Go ahead, bro.
On the CW network.
I'm a Drake May fan. All right. Caleb Williams I've never bought Caleb Williams stock. I could go Lincoln Riley and USC with Caleb Williams. I will not, because I told y'all last week and even before then, Caleb Williams isn't it. Lincoln Riley isn't it. No surprise they lost to Utah. Utah's superior defensive team. Shout out to Kyle Whittingham. Now, UNC, once they got Tez Walker back, I was like, okay, they finna coast through the rest of the schedule. They've got it. They are now equipped. Gene Chizik actually had that defense playing really well. They were holding people down. Drake May getting more unlocked as the season went on. Remember, he did have a new offensive coordinator, so it wasn't a 1-for-1 with continuity from last season to this season. I understood why he got slowed down a little bit, but I expected Tez Walker getting in the mix to be a reason why they just skunked people. I expected to see some 45-10s on the schedule, some 38-17s on the schedule. They lost at home to the Virginia Cavaliers. The Virginia Cavaliers, before that game, had only beaten, the only team that they had beaten was William and Mary. Okay. They lost to James Madison this year. Well, they lost to everybody else too. The rest was just ACC opponents and Tennessee. The Virginia Cavaliers have been abysmal on offense. Coached by Tony Elliott, former
offensive coordinator. Yep.
And I was wondering, hey man, you lost to James Madison, okay, like that. I think they're now an FBS school, but they just got up here.
Yeah, they did. They're 2 years. There's a second year in, and for some reason they're 6-0, and they won't be able to go to a bowl game or play in the Sun Belt championship game.
Right, because there's a little a buffer. Once you get in, you can't compete in the bowl games.
Yeah, because NCAA sucks. Yes.
So, I mean, they're a good team. They're beating the teams in the conference, but listen, you can't lose to them. That was Virginia's first home game since the tragedy where the players had died last year. They got murdered, and everybody expected, okay, this is going to be the emotional lift that gets you over the top and you can beat this team. They did not, and they continued to play bad, and they beat an FCS team last week and held North Carolina to how many points? Let me go back. I'm still down 27 points. Drake May stats 24 for 48. They held him to 50%. 2 touchdowns, 1 INT. Their quarterback, Tony Muskett, actually played a better game, 20 for 30, 208 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 INT, but it took him a lot fewer attempts to get the job done. I don't know how this happened. UNC had played well on defense. I thought Drake May was a transcendent quarterback prospect. Perhaps I was too early on that. I got to take into account new information. A terrible team, being able to hold him down, hold him to 50% passing, especially with his really big Tez Walker had
wide receiver
targets.
Target just got back, bro.
He went crazy.
I just knew they was gonna mop. I just knew UNC was gonna mop Virginia, bro.
I don't know what that was about. Now, UNC is still in control of their destiny out there in the ACC. They've got a couple of big games left, but they wouldn't have to see a Florida State until the ACC championship game. So they've got Georgia Tech is bad. Duke is a winnable game, but that should be tight. It's a rivalry at Clemson, who is not good, and at NC State, who is also not good. They can still win out, go to the ACC championship game and play a Florida State hypothetically, but that was a head scratcher. I didn't bet it because the spread was too wide, and you never want to. I don't know, man. An awful team playing a great team. It's like weird stuff happens. I'm not going for it, but still very disappointing. As a Drake May fan, I was very disappointed in that game, UNC. What the hell?
I don't understand either, bro. All right, let's get into this last one from your boy, man. You didn't want to go up there and talk about it, but I'm going to talk about it.
Go ahead.
Utah is always going to be a problem for the slack.
For the slack. Well, they're not gonna be. Nobody's gonna be a problem. For
that's why that's why I didn't even call them a real conference. I always make fun of and put a 12 after it. But they're not even a real conference anymore. Nobody plays defense in this conference, and that's why the one team that consistently plays defense is always going to be a problem in this conference. Because week after week after week, you buy into your own hype that you are these dynamic offenses that are juggernauts until you actually play a real defense. Every week, y'all get to read your press clippings and somebody's telling you how you have a Heisman caliber quarterback, until that quarterback plays a real defense.
Mhm.
Every week you put up these video game numbers and everybody's telling you how awesome you are, and they want to come and give you every NIL deal available to anybody in the Northwest until you play a real defense. Utah went out there and gave every one of them dudes on that team a truck, and they ran that truck right through USC that entire game. That defense is legit. If they had a decent offense, they would run that conference every year.
Yeah.
Just a decent offense. The only reason Utah is not looking like the class of that conference is they can't ever seem to figure out how to get the offense right.
If Cam Rising stay healthy.
Yeah.
I mean,
they
even
shut
with
him
Cam
down for
Rising,
the year.
even with Cam Rising last year, they didn't look
It was
amazing.
so-so. It was okay. Yeah.
I'm like, they just can't ever seem to get the offense right for Utah. But for it doesn't matter. It doesn't seem to matter in the pack. They continue to be everybody's nightmare out there. Kyle Whittingham is the master of taking a bunch of dudes nobody wants and beating you over the head with them. Every year he's doing this. That conference is a joke. I'm sorry. I know everybody is talking about how great this conference. They are a freaking joke because they go up there and they put up these video game numbers every year. Mike G quotes all the time how many quarterbacks in that conference threw for over 4,000 yards last year. All these, this great quarterback. Oh my goodness. Until you play Utah. Until you play Utah and they have you out there looking silly every single year. And it's ridiculous. And it just highlights for me that conference is a joke. Yes, you're going to put up amazing numbers when you're throwing routes on air every week. It's a 7-on-7 game until the Utes step into the building and they bludgeon y'all to death every single year. Get the Pac-12 off of my TV, man. I'm about to want to see that mess.
I need that Utah-Bama bowl game so Utah can put them in the box. That'll be beautiful because, I mean, they can – a weak offensive line against that Utah front. Buddy. That'll be nice.
They do it every year, dog. Every single year they do this to them.
And especially Lincoln Riley. Another fraud.
Oregon, or I think Oregon's going to end up winning the Pac-12.
They could. I mean,
you know what? Oregon's the most balanced team in that conference. Oregon's the most balanced team in the conference, though.
Oregon's got to beat Utah this weekend.
Washington almost lost to Arizona State yesterday.
Yeah.
15-7.
They almost lost, that they didn't. But this is going to be it. Can Oregon get past Utah this weekend? If they can do that, they've got a shot. But, buddy.
Yeah, if they lose one more, then Oregon's going to be out.
But again, I think Oregon's the most balanced team as far as having an offense and a defense. They're the most most complete team in that conference.
Right.
Utah is easily the class of the conference defensively.
Right.
And Washington, in my opinion, is the class of that conference offensively.
Right.
Oregon is probably the only team with a healthy mix of those where they have a good enough defense and they have a really good offense. So that's going to be a test. But again, every year Utah does this to whatever team. The difference is, though, for whatever reason, they keep trying to anoint USC before time in that conference. And USC's never had a good defense. They just don't have a good defense. Lincoln Riley doesn't believe in defense. So his teams aren't ever going to have good defenses. So if you go up there and you play good defense against their dynamic juggernaut of an offense with their Heisman quarterback, they're done because they can't stop nobody.
And their O-line's not good either. So if you can get pressure on Caleb Williams, he's not going to look like the Heisman quarterback that he is. Also, the Heisman Trophy, I don't even know where that thing's going to go.
It's going if Penix wins out, he's going to get it.
And JJ McCarthy's the front runner right now, and that makes me want to.
Which is ridiculous.
It should be Jaden Daniels, honestly. Let's be for it should be Jaden Daniels, hands down. He's got, you know what, if he has a really good game and they win against a very good Bama defense, I think he'll leapfrog a couple people.
If they beat Bama, then that gets him into a different kind of conversation at that point in time. But I still think that Washington's going to have to lose a game.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, there's a fine print on the trophy. It says best player in college football, and it's like very small on the best team.
Right.
2 losses just gets you off, no matter if it's your fault you lost or not.
All right, y'all. Well, that's it for What Did We See? We're going to get to these last few comments here, and then we're going to get out of here. A couple of super chats, and we're going to shut the door. We appreciate you guys for jumping in on another weekend tailgate. James Barnett says, fellas, why aren't the starters paired with Robbie when he's in? The majority of the time, it's the 2 deep players or the second string. Not understanding that. I don't know the answer to this question. I know semi the answer to this question because they are doing basically these hockey line changes where you're going to have these skill players paired with this quarterback. You're going to have, but again, that's why I said it looks like a scrimmage. It looks like they have the packages. They have a Robbie package and they have a Peyton Thorne package. And so we don't actually have an offense. We have different offensive packages that we're deploying. Like, I feel like they're doing some sort of update to Windows or something. Like, yeah, we need to deploy this packet, and then we're gonna throw like, what are we doing, man? This is not a UPS. We don't have packages. You play football, you go out there and you line up with an offense and you play.
Yeah, if Hugh Freeze wants to prove to me that Robbie's not the guy, well, let him go out there and play with Jay Fair, Valdo, Shane Hooks, and Jarquez, and then prove to me why you don't like playing Robbie Ashford. And then put Peyton Thorne in the concept that you could put Robbie Ashford in and prove to me that he's a better quarterback.
Yeah.
I just listen, stick to an identity is all I want. JJ Brand says the best part of the game was the Metallica halftime show. I have to admit that halftime show was fire. They did that thing with the halftime show.
Okay.
Whoever did that, props to you for putting together a really dope halftime show. The light effects were dope. The composition was dope. Very good job by the halftime show. Stephen Green is saying that he slept through the second half of this game, or something about falling asleep during the second half. It was a snoozer. It wasn't a very good second half of that game. It looked really, I mean, there was a lot of punts. We went from pretty exciting, nobody's ever going to get off the field, like didn't punt at all for like the first 6 possessions, it felt like, because we were going for it on 4th down. They were going for it on 4th down. Like, it was just like, man, lead a punter somewhere else. We're gonna settle this on the field to a punt fest. And so, yeah, I don't know, man. Mississippi State, go get a W. Last but not least, thank you, Drake Barefoot, for gifting memberships, as well as I Am the King 334 gifting memberships. We appreciate that as always. But we are going to get out of here, man. It's been another great weekend tailgate. As far as what we need you guys to do, we need to be doing the necessary. If you want to join the War Report, you could do that right now before we get out of here, or you could do it later if you're watching the video later. You can gift memberships, though, from the live chat and somebody else, just like Drake, what Drake did, what's I Am the King did. We appreciate that very much. Shout out to the guys on the network, right? The College Loop, us here at the Auburn Express, the Uptempo podcast, and Just a Sec podcast are all places where you can hear things about your favorite Auburn sports teams. And you can head to our website, thewarreport.com, to get a bunch of different kinds of merch out there that supports the entire network. So we appreciate everybody who continues to do that. Another shout out to show sponsor Golden's Cast Iron. Head to goldenscastiron.com/WR. Use code Get Your Weight Up for 15% off of weights and $65 off of fire pits and Kamado grills when you use code TWR. Before you get out of here, make sure you're doing the necessary, and that is liking this video. Share the content with somebody out there, somebody you love, somebody you hate. I saw an Ole Miss fan jump in here kind of at the end for no reason whatsoever, just to, troll.
Rent free.
Hey, listen, man, it's all right. I understand y'all don't have like real good content on your team, so you have to jump on other people's content, which we welcome you. Come in and we talk about, the bad teams as well as the good teams. So, we'll talk about Ole Miss eventually. And then like the video again, subscribe to the channel. We appreciate that very much. You can follow us on social media at The War Report, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. We are TW Report on TikTok. Dylan, Appreciate you jumping in with us today, holding us down. Definitely
sir.
welcome to come back anytime you would like to, sir. One time before they get out of here, let the people know the College Loop and where they can follow you.
Yeah, so you can follow me on Twitter at your boy the Tank. It's just right there at YABOI the Tank. And also got my Instagram at Dylan Lark, DYLANLARCK. And you also catch me on the College Loop every Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday. Tuesday and Thursday shows come up at 8:30, pre-recorded, and then Sunday night, like tonight, we're gonna have a live stream at 6:00, and basically just do this all over again, ranting and making sure that everybody in the comments can rant with us. It's a rant fest the past 4 weeks. So, yeah.
All right, baby. Well, we appreciate it once again. We are out of here. Auburn's about to go 4-0 over the next 4, baby. I don't care what nobody says.
All
Until
right.
the next time, and as
All right.
always,
Boogie.
War Eagle. Peace.
Right.